Hello, this is Stephanie Rojo, your estate planning and estate administration attorney, and I'm here today to discuss with you the answer to a question that I get a lot of times from my clients. And the question is, who do I pick as my trustee? Well, there's several things that I want you to take into consideration as we go through and try to answer this question. The first thing is which trustee are we talking about? So when you establish a trust, you create a trust, you are typically the trustee of your own trust. And if we're dealing with an individual trust, that will likely be yourself. If you are a couple, it'll be yourself and your partner or your spouse. We can do that for married and unmarried folks. Sometimes we have an additional co-trustee who's appointed as an initial trustee. But that's not very common. I occasionally see that where we have a surviving parent who wants to identify their adult child to be a co-trustee with themselves. Maybe they're anticipating a future scenario of dementia or incapacity, so they're trying to avoid that early on by allowing for the adult child to be listed as a co-trustee early on. Now, that aside, we have two other kinds of trustees. We have an incapacity trustee or a death or successor trustee. So the incapacity trustee addresses your trust, manages your trust while you're alive but unable to, and then you have the death trustee who will step in once you've passed away to make sure that your terms of your trust are being followed through according to your wishes, that final administrative tasks are being taken care of, and that ultimately the distributions are going to the right people and the right amounts. So who exactly should you be picking for these roles? A lot of times folks come to me and they've got several adult children and they say, well, I'll just name my oldest as the first choice, my middle child as the second choice, and my youngest child as the third choice. Easy peasy, that'll be the decision. Well, I would really encourage you to consider thinking not only the order of birth of your children, but maybe beyond the scope of even just your children. You could absolutely pick family members or close friends. Private trust companies are a good option. You really want to get down to who is going to uphold the terms of your trust, who is going to be diligent in the management of your trust, who can ask questions and admit when they need help or it's beyond the scope of their understanding, and ultimately who is responsible and organized enough to get the job done. I will say that there's no wrong or right answer. Only you are going to know who is best suited to serve as trustee under your trust. But I can certainly help guide you through these questions to figure out who the best trustee is going to be. Keep in mind that you can appoint people as co-trustees, and if you do that, you want to make sure that those folks get along with one another. You absolutely want to avoid a situation where you're putting two people together who cannot get along. That is a disaster waiting to happen. So we will talk about how well those co-trustees get along with one another. And I will also encourage you to come up with some alternative names, because it does happen, although I'm sure it's rare, but it does happen when all of the individuals you've named as trustee or successor trustee have either passed away or they're unwilling to serve for whatever reason. Maybe they just had a death in the family, or they're overwhelmed with something in their own lives, or they're dealing with a medical situation. So we want to have alternates available in case that situation comes up where we have someone else who's willing to step in and serve. And depending on the type of trust that you establish, you may also have a trust protector who can step in and appoint folks if there is no one else left to serve. Or if you don't have a trust protector in your trust, worst case scenario, we can always go to court and ask a judge to confirm the appointment of a successor trustee. So hopefully this raised some questions for you and will help you start to think about who might be the best person to serve as trustee, who might be a nice alternative to list as a successor trustee. If you have questions and would like to review the people you've identified on your existing plan, go ahead and give me a call. My number is 702-998-0444. Or if you would like to get a new plan in place and you would like to just begin this conversation, I'm also available here to get that conversation going with you. Again, this is Stephanie Rojo from Stone Law Offices, and you can reach me at 702-998-0444.